When you are finding yourself in situations, maybe it's an on and off again relationship, maybe it is that you're constantly finding yourself with avoidant partners, there are a few reasons why. So let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Amy and welcome to my channel. I'm a certified relationship coach and manifesting mentor. And in today's video, I'm going to discuss why it is that you might find yourself with an avoidant partner and also what it says about you and what you need to focus on and what you need to look at letting go of and healing. So there are a couple of reasons why you might find yourself in relationship after relationship with the same type of avoidant personality, or maybe you have an on and off again relationship with the same person and you can't seem to figure out why this is happening. So when we go back to the dating stage and when we meet somebody and when we're getting to know somebody, if it is, particularly if you're anxious attached or fearful avoidant leaning towards anxious, you will see qualities in that person that you think you don't have. Let's say, for example, as an anxious attached person, you might be really poor at setting boundaries. However, an avoidant partner might be extremely good at setting boundaries, but they go to the polar opposite and their boundaries tend to be really inflexible and extreme. They might have an air of confidence that you don't think you have. You might think that, oh, they have control over their emotions, they're mysterious. And all of these things that you don't think you have are one of the big reasons why you're attracted to this person. The second reason you might feel overwhelming attachment to somebody is because it's familiar on some level. So let's say you grew up in a household with parents that you had to prove your worth to, or that you didn't feel good enough for. And maybe your parents or caregivers were emotionally unavailable. This creates a subconscious comfort zone and a sense of safety because it's familiar. It might not necessarily be what you want, but it is familiar on some level, and the subconscious mind will do what it can to keep the status quo. So that means looking for what's familiar and attaching to what's familiar. Another big reason why is because, and I don't want to seem like I'm calling out anxious attached people because I'm not. I was in the same boat, is that they tend to project this imagined future onto a person that they don't really know yet. And what this causes is a sense of limerence, where they are actually getting their needs met from the fantasy. When we're in our imagination and when we are in fantasy, we are discounting what the experience is now. And because you're not getting your needs met through the experience now, you might find yourself going into the imagination to get your needs met there, because in imagination, everything is perfect. In imagination, you're not having conflict, you're not being ignored, you're being prioritized and respected. But that might not be the reality, because the reality is that everybody has conflict. The reality is some people aren't compatible, and sometimes we don't want to see that, particularly when we've built this fantasy around this person where you're getting your needs met, or you have an assumption that at some point your needs will get met. And this can be enough to keep you really attached to somebody. And it can be really quite painful when you're in a relationship and you're ignoring what's going on in front of you and just going into your imagination, hoping that it's all going to work out in the end. And what this creates is this situation where the avoidant person, because of their traits and because of their trauma, will continue to pull away, and you will chase and cling and want that person back. But the only thing you're really wanting back is the fantasy of that person. So instead of looking at and seeing who that person is right now, you go into fantasy land and think, no, this is who they are. This is how I feel. This is how I'm treated in my relationship, when that isn't the reality of what's happening now. Because in the subconscious mind, your needs can only get met in the present moment. So when you're imagining these things and you get a sense of relief, you're in denial of what's happening right now. And this can You know, I've seen people go for years and years and years and years and years trying to make a relationship work with somebody when they weren't showing up for the relationship. They were being treated poorly. They were being disrespected and spoke to horribly. But then the person, in order to protect themselves and to protect the status quo of the subconscious mind and to keep their safety, and so that they didn't have to be abandoned again or feel that abandonment or rejection, will just go into the mind and access that fantasy where the person is who they want them to be. And the fourth reason, from a more spiritual level, is if it is that you're anxious attached or fearful avoidant, leaning anxious attachment, the reason why relationships exist in the first place is so that you can heal and grow. So if you're a person who is anxious attached and you are faced with a person that's avoidant, that person's coming into your life to trigger you into healing. It's there to show you what's going on within you that you need to look at and you need to heal. So let's say, for example, you know, your person or your partner is making you feel consistently rejected. That's a real wake-up call for you, because you know, you can't people please your way into a relationship. If it is that you're trying to stay in this relationship to avoid a certain outcome or avoid a certain feeling, you're never going to be able to be yourself. You're never going to be able to allow somebody else to truly love you for who you are. And you do deserve to be loved for who you are. You deserve to be able to act yourself in a relationship. You deserve to be able to get your needs met in a relationship, not just with a fantasy, but in reality. So what do we do about this? We work on those core wounds and core beliefs that have created this attachment style in the first place. Those experiences when we were younger that created this attachment in the first place. And really introspect and think, oh, why didn't alarm bells go off for me when this person ignored me for a week? Why didn't alarm bells go off for me when this person just disappeared and ghosted me? Because it's a subconscious comfort zone. Those alarm bells aren't necessarily ringing. But when you're in security and when you are in secure attachment, that would have been something that you would have had a conversation about. That would have been something that you might have vetted for in the early stages of the relationship before you had over-invested. So in a sense, relationships, they're not showing you who you are, they're showing you who you're not. They're showing you something that's false. When you're in anxious attachment, you might truly believe that you will not survive without that person. And that's just not true. Of course you will survive without that person. If that person isn't showing up in the relationship right now in the present moment, you know, don't go into your mind and try to change that. Don't imagine a different version of them. Look at you and look at why is it that I am accepting less than what I know that I deserve. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you need any help at all, drop a comment below. I will do my best to answer it, and I will see you in the next video.